Configuring diagnostic settings for Azure SQL Managed Identity is a crucial step in monitoring and troubleshooting your database. In this tutorial, we will guide you through the process of setting up diagnostic settings for Azure SQL Managed Identity. First, let's start with the basics. Azure SQL Managed Identity is a feature that allows your Azure SQL database to authenticate to Azure services without needing to store credentials in your code. Diagnostic settings are used to collect logs and metrics from your Azure SQL database and send them to a destination of your choice, such as Azure Storage or Azure Log Analytics. To configure diagnostic settings for Azure SQL Managed Identity, you need to have the necessary permissions and access to the Azure portal. You also need to have an Azure SQL database and an Azure Active Directory tenant set up. Step 1 is to navigate to the Azure portal and select your Azure SQL database. Click on the Diagnostic Settings option under the Monitoring section. This will take you to a page where you can create a new diagnostic setting. Step 2 is to click on the Add Diagnostic Setting button and select the destination where you want to send your logs and metrics. You can choose from a variety of options, including Azure Storage, Azure Log Analytics, and Azure Event Hub. Step 3 is to select the logs and metrics you want to collect. You can choose from a variety of options, including Query Store Runtime Statistics, Query Store Wait Statistics, and SQL Security Audit Events. Step 4 is to configure the retention period for your logs and metrics. This determines how long your logs and metrics are stored in the destination you selected. Step 5 is to click on the Save button to save your diagnostic setting. Once you have saved your diagnostic setting, Azure will start collecting logs and metrics from your Azure SQL database and sending them to the destination you selected. Best practices for configuring diagnostic settings for Azure SQL Managed Identity include monitoring your database regularly, storing your logs and metrics in a secure location, and configuring alerts and notifications to notify you of any issues with your database. In conclusion, configuring diagnostic settings for Azure SQL Managed Identity is an important step in monitoring and troubleshooting your database. By following these steps and best practices, you can ensure that your database is running smoothly and securely, and that you are able to troubleshoot any issues that may arise.